Last week, we talked about 2 reasons why you might not be getting better from depression. And this week, you were promised the specific tools that I used and am using to climb out of a severe depression. We're going to start with the most important because if I lose your attention, I at least want to make sure that you have the game changers in your pocket. The same stuff gets recommended over and over again for fixing depression. If you've tried these things but aren't seeing results, or if your current state is just so bad that you aren't even able to do any of this, which I wouldn't be surprised because you're depressed, then this video is 100% meant for you. Today we're going to cover my foundation. I was in that super dark place, the one where you can't even do any of the stuff. But once this foundation was built, I slowly became able to access the ability to do the things. The foundation gave me something to stand on so that I could have a fighting chance against depression. And I built it from absolute rock bottom, which means that you can too. They are the things that were critical for me to get on the right track. And I continue to use them every single day. A quick heads up here, I'm not claiming to have invented any of this, okay? In fact, it's stuff that's been around for ages and used throughout humanity's entire history because it's friggin' awesome. But very important to note, while I believe in these things with my entire heart and soul, I can't guarantee that this path works for everyone. So please be mindful of that. Okay, so in my experience, the most important tool, or maybe it's a skill, is awareness. Awareness of these 3 things: your thoughts, your emotions, and body sensations. If you've heard this before and brushed it aside as spiritual nonsense, it's not. It's really not. Awareness is your first line of defense. It is the first step every time you're in emotional pain, from depression, from anxiety, from trauma. It is the hardest step, and it's the majority of the work. I am totally serious. You might be thinking, yeah, I'm aware that I'm depressed, and that's gotten me nowhere. And I would reply gently that if you're not engaging in practices that build your awareness, then you don't have the awareness that I'm talking about. It's a skill that you build, or a muscle that you exercise. So if you're not exercising it, you won't have it. The reason why awareness is so important is because without it, we can't then move on to the next step. If you're using all the tools but keep getting stuck, it's probably because you're trying to unlock the second or third door when you haven't even unlocked the first. I have met so many people with childhood trauma who are chronically avoiding. They're avoiding listening to their mind and body, and they suffer, and then they wonder why they aren't getting better. What I've heard again and again is that they're afraid to face what's going on in here. I get that the listening can be painful, especially when we first start doing it. That's why we start small as you can manage. And refer to the previous video if you missed it. Awareness can be built at any stage, no matter how bad things are. Remember that I was able to build mine from rock bottom, laying down in a bed of no hope and zero desire to live. Awareness of my thoughts, emotions, and body sensations actually pulled me out of that position and continues to serve me every day. So how do you build awareness? Well, that brings us to my second foundational tool that I use to get better, which is meditation, and also body scans, which are like a type of meditation. I dabbled in meditation for like 15 years, but it wasn't until I started doing it every day that it seriously, and I mean seriously, started changing my life. I don't even do it very long, like 10 minutes. I actually started with 5, but then once the benefits started kicking in, I was like, this shit is awesome. I want to do this more. During meditation, I practice noticing thoughts and then returning focus to breathing, but I also try to notice judgments and practice letting them go. Just for my 10 minutes, I say, I can judge myself later, just not during these 10 minutes. And sometimes what comes up is brutal. I'm like, man, I didn't even know all of this was going on in there. Meditation showed me that my mind is running a mile a minute constantly. And like 90% of it is pretty awful. Without any practice, these things are allowed to run rampant in your brain streets and wreak havoc in your mind. What hope do you have against thoughts that you aren't even noticing? And by the way, meditation is just one aspect of mindfulness. There are lots of other fun exercises under that umbrella that you can use to build your awareness muscles. There's no rebranding here. I'm not claiming to have invented any of this. This is just the good old-fashioned stuff that's been around for ages because it works. The third and final tool that I consider to be foundational is acceptance. I still get negative thoughts, but once I've unlocked that first door using awareness, I move to the next door, which is acceptance. I never realized how resistant I was to everything. When my awareness muscles started growing, I started to notice specific thoughts that were associated with my depression, my anxiety, my C-PTSD, but also that there were bodily responses and sensations that would accompany those thoughts and feelings. For example, when I feel embarrassed, I start getting certain thoughts like, I'm so useless, why am I like this? And I notice that this is accompanied by tension in my arms, legs, and jaw. But when I'm sad, I'll have different thoughts that accompany that. And the feeling is more in my throat and my heart. So I'm actually going to add listening to this step because listening is needed in order to accept. And it's not the same as awareness, because awareness is that like initial first catch, that, aha, I'm doing it again. Whereas listening comes after that initial catch. It's taking the time to hear the thoughts and sensations, the messages that you're receiving, the signals. Sometimes I get them from both my mind and body, but sometimes I only hear them from one. Maybe I'll be sitting down doing nothing, and then I get a signal. My heart starts pounding in my chest for no reason. Then I know something is going on, so I'll check my brain, and aha, there's some thoughts in there that are saying I'm being bad for just sitting around. I didn't even notice that that was going on. It was my heart that sent a signal to me. Thank you, heart. When I become aware of a signal, whether it's a feeling or a thought, I pause to listen to it and practice accepting it. And I need to make it clear that accepting does not mean agreeing. I'm not agreeing with the thought that I'm useless for sitting on the couch all day. I'm hearing it, facing it, sitting with it, and saying to myself, I accept that I'm having a negative thought right now. I might also say that I know my brain does this when it's feeling stress. So I hear your stress and whatever other lovingly accepting statements you can think of. Thoughts that come from stress are usually your fight or flight response talking to you. And your fight or flight response is intense and can say a lot of messed up stuff that it thinks is protecting you somehow. And it just wants you to hear it. And once we've heard it and like really listened, then we can take the time to differentiate between what was fight or flight and what was the truth. I promise we'll get into that more in the next video, but for now, I can't stress enough the importance of these three things. So for the next video, we're going to continue on this topic of the specific tools by going through the other things that I use on top of this foundation. But those tools I don't necessarily use every day. I kind of like mix and match as I go along. But these three things, I need them every day. I am always practicing them, always nourishing them. They were built at my lowest low. I'm talking can't even move or get up, can barely even hold a conversation. Like body shutting down from sickness in the mind. And I was able to work on building these things. They are easy, they are free, and they are rock solid. Don't take these things for granted. Don't write them off as spiritual nonsense. Because once you start committing to them and giving them your time and effort, you'll see just how much they can change your life. How much power is here. Make sure you tune in, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, and we'll talk about where you can take this foundation and what tools you might want to try next. I really hope to see you there, but no worries if you can't make it. I am still super massively grateful that you are here right now. Attention is arguably the most valuable thing that you can give to someone these days. So thank you for the gift of your attention. With every video, I will do my best not to waste it. See you next time. I'm talking to Gary. Just pretend I'm talking to Gary. Hi, Gary. Ugh, that might make him laugh. Okay. And Pepper's meowing in the background. I hope she stops soon, but she might be going on for a while.
One eternity later.
Oops-a-doodle. I am totally serious. She's meowing again. Pepper, I'm trying to get some serious shit done. And I would reply,